This is the briefing for the Grignard experiment, and so here we've got the overview of the reaction that you'll be doing. And so one of the key things that you're doing is you're making a Grignard reagent which is unstable, so you have to sort of prepare it first and then use it in a Grignard reaction by adding your ketone in the second part. And this is kind of a key feature of many synthetic reactions, where the actual intermediate you want to use is reactive, so you have to prepare it in advance, and you have to usually, because it's unstable, you have to make sure you can prepare it in the absence of air and moisture. So in terms of the actual skills that you'll be doing in this experiment, you're going to be adding your reagents in a controlled way, particularly the ketone to the Grignard. You're going to be doing techniques like a liquid-liquid extraction again. And you're also going to be doing a distillation of your final product. However, you're going to be doing it under reduced pressure. So in terms of the laboratory skills and videos to perform, there's a special video showing you how to set up the Grignard reaction. Okay, you can see here it's got a multi-neck flask, it's got condensers, it's got addition funnels and an ice bowl as well. And also there's videos showing you how to set up and perform your reduced pressure distillation. If you look at this shot here, you can see that you've got a multi-neck flask to collect different liquids, so it's a little bit more complicated than the distillation you've done previously. Okay, so firstly, advice about performing this Grignard reaction. It's going to be one of the trickier reactions that you have performed before, and the key thing is you need to make sure that you can actually make this Grignard reagent from 1-bromobutane, because obviously if you don't make any Grignard, you're not going to react anything with your ketone and therefore form any product. Okay, so these are the key tips for setting up and performing your Grignard reaction. So your glassware must be dry, because Grignards react with water as well. So if you degrade your Grignard reaction, instead of it reacting with the ketone, you will lower your yield. So make sure all your glassware is dried, either in the oven or with a hairdryer. When you add your bromobutane to magnesium to start forming your Grignard reagent, you're supposed to see some bubbling form to indicate the formation of the Grignard. And if it doesn't happen, okay, then do consult a demonstrator. Okay, it may be worth sort of looking to see how you can correct that. However, also, once you've formed your Grignard and you're adding your ketone, you need to do this in a controlled manner. And if you add your ketone too quickly, then it can be quite a vigorous reaction. You can see there you've got a condenser there, and that's why you've got an ice bowl here as well. So you can add ice to the bowl to cool down and calm the reaction down when you're sort of performing your Grignard formation and your reaction as well. Okay, so you've got to try and see some bubbling to form the Grignard, but you don't want it to bubble too quickly in the reaction, so you need to also have ice, be able to add ice and cool the reaction down. Then you might need to just warm the reaction again to sort of continue forming Grignard or continue adding your ketone. So it's a tricksy reaction, but if you sort of follow these tips, you should be okay. Then near the end of the reaction, you're going to perform a distillation under reduced pressure, so with a vacuum attached to the distillation to lower the pressure. And the reason for this is because your product has a very high boiling point, and if you heated the reaction to the boiling liquid to the boiling point, which is, think, around about 200 degrees at atmospheric pressure, then all that will happen is you'll simply degrade your product. So what we can do, and a technique to avoid that happening with oils, is we can sort of attach attach a sort of the line to the pump, so the same sort of line that you would use to attach the vacuum for a vacuum filtration. Add it to the end of the distillation apparatus, and then that will lower the pressure and allow you to distill the oil at a safer temperature where the oil won't degrade. And so you must sort of check the pressure on your distillation apparatus. You've got a mercury manometer in your fume hood, and you must make sure that it's below 30 millimeters of mercury for this distillation to work. So only one person can attach their distillation in each fume hood at one to the vacuum at one time, and the vacuum must be below 30 millimeters. Again, if you've got problems getting this vacuum, then consult a demonstrator because they will be able to help you with that. And at the end of your distillation, you've got what is a pig adapter that allows you to connect three flasks. Because what's going to happen in this reaction is if you haven't reacted all of your ketone, maybe for example you didn't form as much Grignard reagent as needed to react with all the ketones, so you've got some left over. Then when you perform this distillation, then the ketone should distill first into the first flask, and you should be able to tell this by the temperature at which it distills from the distillation. And then what you need to do is when you see a rise in temperature, which indicate your product distilling, you need to rotate the pig adapter so that you have a new flask being the one that is your product sort of runs into. Okay, so here's an overview of roughly how long each step should take for the experiment. You're given up to 2 days to do this full experiment, so there's more than enough time to deal with, I think, some of the issues that have been presented in this experiment. But essentially, it'll probably take you a morning to set up and perform this reaction, adding your Grignard reagent, maybe sort of having to cool it down, and then letting it warm up again and adding more, making more Grignard reagent, and so on and so forth. So it can take up to 3 hours to perform this reaction. Then you probably have a couple of hours to do the workup, standard workup in a set funnel and using a rotary evaporator. And then as kind of with the distillation, maybe you're looking again 2 hours, possibly 3 hours as well to make sure you're setting up the equipment correctly, getting the correct vacuum that you need before you can start your distillation. And then obviously you're distilling more than one compound if you've got, in particular if you've got unreacted sort of ketone that's going to distill off first as well.